Imagine this, you have to survive in a deadly world filled with insane pirates for an entire 100 days. Huge ships, tropical islands, and custom bosses. Will I be able to survive being hunted by these savage pirates? And can I even become strong enough to defeat the legendary Scourgebeard? Stay tuned to find out. Day 1, I woke up on my ship and it was completely wrecked. I also had no memory of who or what caused this, but something told me that we had just been attacked by the people sailing off in the distance. I looked around my ship to see if I could find any of my crewmates.
Marcus, what happened?
Scourgebeard, that traitor. He betrayed us and took our treasure.
Where's the rest of our crew?
I'm not sure, but you need to get off the ship before they catch you. Take this map of the hideout.
I had to get off the ship. Marcus had told me Scourgebeard's men were gonna catch me, and that would mean the death of me. So I spent the rest of day 1 swimming to a nearby island to get away from the pirates. I made it to the island on day 2 and started gathering some basic materials. The only thing I was able to save from my ship was my backpack, which luckily had a ship part in it. I needed to rebuild my ship if I wanted any chance of living with these pirates hunting me down. I set up a quick camp at night so I could be safe and keep getting materials the next day. Day 3, I packed up my camp because I needed to avoid being captured by Scourgebeard and I knew he was looking for me. I went to go and get some more food before I left the island when I noticed a small ship parked at the island.
That can't be good.
When I investigated it further, I saw it looked to be one of Scourgebeard's men hunting me down. I then made a quick decision to use my raft and go as far as I could.
We need to get out of here before they catch us.
I used days 4 through 5 sailing through the seas. If I got caught by the pirates, it would definitely be the end for me, so I knew I had to be careful. While I was escaping, I found what appeared to be an abandoned hideout. I wrote down the location of it and kept sailing. I wasn't about to let myself get captured by Scourgebeard. On day 6, I sailed over to where Marcus told me the hideout was. I found it eventually, although it was hard to find since it was hidden in the mountains. Once I entered, I saw a whole bunch of these pirates, so it was nice to know that I was finally in a safe environment. And the best part is, I found one of my crewmates.
Jameson, I thought you were dead.
I didn't think you could make it out of that wreck. Scourgebeard destroyed it, and he took everything from us.
Yeah, I was able to sail away on one of the rafts luckily.
Well, we can't be using rafts for long. We need a ship. And soon! The pirates are searching for us, and that's the only way we can put up a battle.
After talking with Jameson, I decided to get some rest after traveling for 6 days. On day 7, I decided to go and get some resources for the new pirate ship. I needed to get a lot of wood since I would be building this entire ship from nothing. My plan was to collect a ton of wood and make a ship that could take down anything. We would need something powerful since who knows what kind of ship Scourgebeard even has. On day 8, I traveled all the way back to the pirate stash I found on day 5. Hopefully I could find some valuable parts for my ship over here. On day 9, I continued the search for more things I could use for my ship. When I entered the stash, I decided to have a look around and it looked like it had not been touched for years. Hopefully the people who lived here didn't get captured or worse. After looking through every single chest, I found an abandoned physics core. Whoever left this here must have been in a rush. I took this and spent the next day traveling all the way back to my base. This part was way too valuable to lose. On day 11, when I was going back to my base, I found a giant wall guarding something.
What could be inside there?
I noticed there were cannons on top of the wall. I had to be quick and get out of this river. If the people on that wall saw me, that would be the end of me. Day 12, I finally made it back over to the area the hideout was at. I decided to park my boat away from the entrance just in case I got tracked so they wouldn't see the hideout. When I was climbing up the mountain, there was a person standing there looking for something. I sneaked over to him just so he couldn't escape.
Hey, who are you and what are you doing?
I pulled out my sword because this guy was definitely looking for us.
Tell me where you came from. I know you're looking to capture some pirates. They aren't here.
Hey man, I'm not giving you any trouble. Just let me go and I'll be on my way.
Tell me, do you have any info on Scourgebeard?
Scourgebeard? I think Mara at the fortress made some sort of deal with him? Just please take what I have and let me go.
So I took what he had and I made sure he left.
That was a close call.
I finally got back to my base on day 13 and opened the backpack I got from that scout. Inside was some old pirate armor. Maybe he was gonna disguise as one of us and infiltrate the hideout. I didn't know. And the other thing he had was a hidden blade, which it honestly just looked like a box to me. Regardless, I spent the entirety of the next day figuring out how to use the hidden blade.
How do I get you to open?
Once I got it to open, I realized how powerful just having a hidden sword could be. I decided I would use it for something important important the next day to test his true powers. So to test it, I spent the entire day traveling over to some random person's house to raid it. I mean, I was a pirate after all, so why wouldn't I rob someone? I defeated the 2 people guarding their riches and got some money. I could tell just from this fight, this weapon was gonna be so useful. On day 16, I realized I was close to the city Mara was at. I camped out on the house I raided and scouted out the sewers. And if my guesses were correct, there could be an entrance in the city through there. So on day 17, it was finally time to use my risky plan on getting in the city. If this sewer did not lead where I wanted it to, it could lead to certain death. But I needed this information on Scourgebeard, so it was all or nothing. While I was in the sewer, I saw a jail cell. Maybe one of my crewmates was in there. I couldn't help him though, so I decided I would come back later. To my surprise, the sewer ended up leading into one of the buildings. This was the best possible outcome, although I had to be very quiet, because if these people woke up, they would probably alert the entire town. I exited the building and people started rushing out of their positions to come and capture me. Was I really this valuable to them? Luckily, I was able to take down every single one of them. I guess they couldn't keep up with my pirate skills. I searched the city for Mara, and once I found them, the deed was over. They told me they would give information as long as I didn't defeat them, but I couldn't let anything about me get out, so I swiftly ended things and I made my way back to the sewer. It was early in the morning when I made my way back into the sewer to check the jail, hoping one of my crewmates would be there. Sadly, there was nothing, but I did find something just as good. Whoever was in this cell left a map and a note for me, which told me they overheard some guards talking about Scourgebeard's next moves. So I took the map from the cell and spent day 19 going all the way back to my base. I arrived at my base on day 20 and decided to trade all of the money I got from pillaging for some ship parts. This was totally worth it, but I still needed some more parts for my ship, and that would be a struggle. On day 21, Jameson called me over with some annoying news. Apparently, if I even wanted a chance of taking out this guy, I would need a powerful ship since his palace was heavily guarded. So I decided to go and spend the next 2 days searching for some ship parts. After a long, exhausting search for some parts, I was at what appeared to be a burning ship in the distance.
Oh no, please don't be Scourgebeard.
This ship had been recently attacked, but strangely enough, they didn't even loot it at all. But hey, I mean, free loot for me. I was able to find a ship part in here, and it was just what I was looking for too. I spent day 24 making my way back to my base. That ship had only recently been attacked, which meant the people that did that were still in the area, so I got out quickly. On day 25, I found a wanted poster when I was traveling back to my base, and hey, who's for me? And I was worth 5,000 gold coins.
Well, I guess I should just turn myself in. That's so many coins.
The poster gave me a hint I was in deep danger from a group called the Tribal Bounty Hunter Service. I could tell this was a serious threat, so I went to go and track them down. So the next day, I found what appeared to be a tribe on an island. I was like 90% sure this was the group that was hunting me down, so I tried to take them out. These people were strong, man, so I had to get out of their base. Maybe I would come back in the future, I didn't know, but there was too many of them to handle. While I was escaping, I stopped at a jungle. This was perfect because I needed to get some wood for the boat I was building, but while I was doing that, some angry birds started attacking me. I didn't want to fight anything, so I sailed away fast. Days 28 through 30 were used building my boat. I didn't want to make my boat too big or too small, so I think the size was honestly the best fit. I also made rooms for different things I would need, such as storage and a resting area. I hired 2 of my old crewmates to man the ship just so it wouldn't be me versus an entire army. I then spent day 31 preparing for the next battle I would have. The palace I would be raiding was very powerful, and if I didn't have the right equipment, I would probably die, so I used all of today to enchant some gear. Today was finally the time I got to use my ship. I sailed over to the place Jameson told me about, and I was ready for this battle. It would be a tough one. When I got there on day 33, I parked pretty far away from the palace just so no one would take my boat. Upon going close to the palace, I found 2 guards who I had to fight. It was an easy battle, but I'm pretty sure the palace would be alerted if 2 of their guards went missing. I spent days 34 through 35 traveling to a lookout spot where I could scout the palace out. It didn't look like it had any sort of hidden passages I could use to infiltrate it, so I think my best bet would most likely be running in there and fighting the army head on. So I spent the rest of day 35 getting some good rest to be prepared for battle. In the morning, I made my way over to the palace. I purposely alerted the guards to get them out of the building just so I could have an easier time fighting them. I was able to take out every single soldier that I fought, and after the long, exhausting battle, I finally made my way into the palace to loot it, which I ended up finding some enchantments and horse armor, which was a bit weird. Regardless, all I needed was to find the owner of the palace, and once I found him, he gave me his info on where Scourgebeard could be. And as I did with the last target, I quickly eliminated him once I got what I wanted. And then I spent all of day 38 traveling back to my ship. From what the palace owner told me, Scourgebeard was last seen at the capital and I could not go in that city. I was a wanted pirate after all. I needed a way I could sneak in and find the Emperor and then question him on Scourgebeard. So once I made it back to my ship, I spent the next 4 days traveling all the way back to my base. On the way back to my hideout, I found some sort of abandoned building. I honestly had no idea what it was, so me being me, I decided to go and check it out. When I got inside, I found a black market that was selling weapons, and honestly, this was so good. I ended up buying an extra cannon and a revolver. This would definitely come in handy later. After I bought all the stuff from that guy, I hopped back in my ship and I spent 2 more days sailing all the way back to my hideout. I finally made it back to my base on day 46. That journey took longer than expected, but it was so worth it. The next thing I decided to do was to go and check if my friend Jameson was still here.
Jackson! I was sure you were captured by Scourgebeard. Did you have any trouble getting here?
Mission went smoothly and I was able to get more information about Scourgebeard.
Oh, that's great! Tell me about that, and I'll plan your next moves.
So I told him about the capital and how Scourgebeard might be there, and he started putting a plan together on how we were gonna attack this. So on day 47, I decided to prepare my ship for the long journey waiting to come. I fixed it because I needed an intact ship for my journey to the capital in order to survive. So the next day, Jameson called me over to his table and gave me a map of his mage friend. Apparently, this mage would give me some potions that would allow me to sneak into the capital. This was just what I needed, so I got some rest for the journey that I would go on the next day. I woke up early the next morning to begin my 7-day journey. I got in my ship to set sail as usual. This journey honestly took forever, but what we were getting would be worth it. On day 54, I started getting close to the location Jameson sent me to, but something started to worry me. When I was traveling, I found one of the mage's hideouts burnt to a crisp. Whoever did this hopefully only attacked this space, but hopefully the mages were still at their hideout. So I continued following the map. I arrived at the mage's base on day 55, and this tower was insanely tall, so I assumed the guy I was looking for would be at the top. When I got out my ship, guards started rushing at me.
Did Jameson trick me?
So I decided to enter the tower. I knocked some people off the edge and I made my way to the top. I reached the top and I used my revolver I got from the black market to defeat the enemies, but there was still one more room that was locked away, so I destroyed the door and I saw somebody. There was a skeleton on the ground and it looked like one of the mages. I opened the chest and I found a note which read,
Jameson told me you needed my help. It's too late. Scourgebeard took over the tower and is on his way to capture me as I'm writing this. Please take this map to the stash I have.
That's when I realized Scourgebeard was becoming too powerful, so I took the map and I left the tower. Hopefully something good would be at the stash. That would be my last chance to defeat him. So I made it to the mage's stash on day 56 and entered it. This was perfect for me. I don't know how we would get potions without these guys. I loaded a backpack up with speed and invisibility potions. I also found an item called the Phantom Blade, so I took what I needed and I got out of there. I didn't want to stay here for too long, so I didn't get tracked. On my way to the capital, I stopped at some random person's house because I wanted to test out the Phantom Blade. It activated the same way as the Hidden Blade, which was great. The only difference is it was a bow, and this would be so good for infiltrating the capital, which I finally got to on day 58. I had to figure out how to get in. The problem was these walls were insanely tall, but I think I figured something out. I gathered some wood quickly and I made some ladders. The plan was I would climb up and attack at night, so I waited until night. I started placing my ladders up the wall and climbed up. Once I got up, I used my first invisibility and speed potions. If I got spotted, it would be over. If the guards saw me, they would rush at me and capture me, and I did not want that. So I parkoured across a few rooftops and found a path that led into the palace. I found a place to hide out for the night and decided to wait until I knew I was alone with the Emperor. After about a day of hiding in the room, I could confirm the Emperor was here and alone. I made my way up to the tower to confront him.
Surprised to see me?
I talked to him and he told me he didn't know where Scourgebeard was, which I found hard to believe, so I ended up defeating him and decided to search his palace for any clues on where Scourgebeard was. I found a cabinet that contained a book that told me Scourgebeard recently made a trade deal with the capital. I would ask Jameson about this. So on day 61, I had to figure out a way to get out the capital. From the looks of it, there was no way out other than the main gate, so I used my speed potion and ran as fast as I could. I got to my ship and I spent the next 4 days running from the guards and sailing back to my base. After I made it back to my base, it looked like something terrible had happened. Things were on fire, explosions on the mountain. I walked inside to check the base. When I got inside, people were packing everything up.
Jameson, what happened?
Scourgebeard's men came and raided our base. They thought we were the ones who defeated the Emperor.
Well, then we gotta get out of here before it's too late. Take this book I got. Let me know if you can figure out where it leads to.
So I packed up my stuff and I started to load my ship up. I then spent the next 4 days sailing to a new base location. Hopefully we could find something good. I arrived to it on day 71 and started building my base for the next few days. My plan for this was a dock I could park my boat at, and then I would have a staircase to lead up to my main base, which I would have all my essentials in. And honestly, it looked quite nice. I'm happy how it turned out. On day 76, I decided to review the note I got from the capital. It said something about a location called the Giant Stronghold. I don't know what that is, but it sounded intimidating, and I needed to go if I wanted to find Scourgebeard. So that's what I did. I prepared my ship for the long journey waiting to come the next day, and I expanded my ship for more room to fit some cannons. And on day 78 through 79, I went on my journey to the Giant Stronghold. As I got to the stronghold, I realized this wasn't going to be an easy battle. I got out my ship and I swam to the land to begin fighting these savage pirates. I took out a majority of the pirates before I made my way into the fortress. When I got inside, I found giants guarding the fortress. I took out a few giants before I searched the fortress and found nothing. There was no way a fortress this protected just had nothing in it. So I kept searching the next day, and after a little bit of searching, I found keys that looked like they were from the bounty hunters I fought back on day 26. So I got in my boat and I spent the next 2 days sailing to the bounty hunters base. I arrived at the base on day 85. I didn't want to start a fight, so I used one of my invisibility potions and I snuck into the leader's room. When I got close to the king, I used milk to get rid of the effect and I talked to the leader. None of the soldiers tried to capture me because if they tried, they knew I would take out the king. The leader told me how Scourgebeard had a room in their tribe, so I went there to find a clue on where he could be. And when I got there, I found a note which told me Scourgebeard was training his magic lightning powers. This was bad. So I took some Neptunium armor I found in a skull sword from his room. I then spent 2 days traveling all the way back to my base to prepare for the final battle against Scourgebeard. I arrived at my base and then spent 3 days enchanting my armor to make it the best it could be. If I wanted a chance at fighting Scourgebeard with his new magic powers, I would need good gear. On day 91, I realized there was a thunderstorm going on at my base, and I got struck by some lightning, so I couldn't wait any longer because Scourgebeard was getting powerful. So I went to go and prepare my ship to set sail. So I spent the next day sailing to my old base as I wanted to get one last thing from that base, which was some more cannons. When I arrived, it looked like it had been completely destroyed by lightning. I needed to find this guy and put an end to this. I then sailed the next 2 days following the storm trail to Scourgebeard. I made it to his ship on day 96. This would be our final fight. My original plan was to park near their ship and use my cannons to tear their ship apart, but they had tier 5 cannons and I did not want to risk my ship being destroyed. So I swam up to the side of the ship and climbed it up. From there, I made my way through all the people that were guarding Scourgebeard. I then went to the bottom of the ship and there he was. I fought him and I had to use my healing a few times, and we kept trading hits in this battle. Scourgebeard was a tough opponent, but after a long battle, I was able to defeat him finally. I set fire to the ship, grabbed a compass and a map that they had laying around the ship, and I got off the ship. It was finally over, but I still had one last thing that I wanted to do. I sailed the next 2 days to wherever that map and compass led me to. I got there on day 99 and it was an island filled to the brim with riches. I loaded them all up on my ship and I made my way back to my base. I got back to my base on day 100 with my newfound loot and a tornado picked me up. Ah, get me out! Wait, where am I? Am I a wandering trader? I wonder what 100 days as a wandering trader would be like.